Hello and welcome to MetroArts. I am your host, Larry Wallace. Here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, and performing artists to cinematographers and musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we'll meet dancer and choreographer Lisa McCall and enjoy a performance from some of her dancers. Sculptor Austen Brantley will share his work with us, and the band Virginia Violet and the Rays will rock out in our studio. Our first guest on MetroArts is dancer, choreographer, and master teacher Lisa McCall. Welcome to MetroArts, Lisa.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you. So you have a pretty extensive background in dancing. Tell us, how did it all begin?
Well, I started at age 10 in Detroit. I started with former Motown artist Kim Weston.
Wow.
It was a summer youth program that was ran by Coleman Young, where students was allowed to receive a weekly allowance to study the arts. And that's where I got my start in dance and performing arts. And my mentor was Clifford Fears, who was a master dancer and choreographer that shaped me to have a career in dance before I even realized it. So I got my start in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. So Lisa, let me get this right. I feel like you do everything. You're a choreographer, you're a dancer, you're a teacher, and you also have some experience producing.
Yes.
You've actually produced shows that focus on Detroit and drums. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was a famous playwright that was well known named Ron Milner, that was a native Detroiter. And a lot of times when I was hired as a young dancer, I was fascinated with the director, the musical director, the lighting director. I was excited to see how they put the whole process together. And so before I even started a career in producing, I always had a fascination for the creative director to put all the elements together to create a phenomenal show. And so I was always fascinated with the 30s and 40s, the whole Cotton Club, the tap dancers, and the feathers and the fabulous costumes. And I just loved that era. So I wrote a show called Blues Rhythm that starred Frida Payne, before your time. Before my time. She is awesome. And it was a 16-piece orchestra and 8 showgirls, 3 tap dancers, 5 background singers. And that was my first show. It was a hit. It ran 6 weeks. And
Wow.
it was about Black Bottom. And Detroit in the 30s and 40s. My next show was The Legacy Continues that ran at Music Hall, which is a tribute to Michael Jackson. And since then, I've done shows more so in folkloric, Afro-Cuban, and Haitian dance around the city that incorporates youth, musicians, and more of the African and Caribbean genre. So.
That is a huge background in producing. I never knew. So I'm really excited to see the performance today. Can you kind of tell us what we are about to see?
Yes, I have a community class that's very successful, which is the Afro-Cuban Drum and Dance Society. And I have about 40 to 50 women that take this class that deals with the powerful trio, music, song, and dance, which also deals with spirituality of learning about our culture. And so I couldn't bring everybody today, so I brought 6 fabulous dancers with me, students, and 2 musicians. So you're gonna see rumba, which is primarily out of Cuba.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Now, where can people find out more information about your dance and your productions?
Well, I have a fan page called Iyawo Dance Theater fan page. That gives us, give you all of our upcoming events, our classes, or Lisa McCall on Facebook, at LM Pros on Twitter, and Lisa McCall on Instagram. And on those pages, you can find our classes and performances and everything.
Great. Well, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure interviewing you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Lisa McCall's Dancers. You're watching MetroArts, produced at the Midtown Studio at Wayne State University. Our next guest on MetroArts Detroit is sculptor Austen Brantley. Welcome to Wayne State in the Midtown studio, Austen.
Thank you for having me.
So Austen, you consider yourself a self-taught artist. Can you tell us what does that mean to you?
To me, that means that I took all the inspiration that was already in me, all the creativity that was already in me, and I turned it into something more. When I started in ceramics, it was more about trying to get an easy A, trying to just get the elective over, get the class over with. And the first day I got there, I even wore gloves to the class. I didn't want to get my hands dirty. I was way more into sports and just anything to, like, you know, just get through. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And to be a self-taught in anything, it's just about having already the inclination to do it, and I didn't even have that. So I took what I thought was like just doodling in class, I took that to the level of sculpting. So it was like just fundamentally, it was like, what do I want to do, you know, what do I want to create? And becoming an artist, it was just, you know, mind-blowing because I didn't even know I was doing it. I just was expressing myself. So I'd just say being self-taught was just about expressing myself, what I wanted to create, what I wanted to say, you know, as a statement.
For sure. Now, during your junior year, that was the year where you really discovered your artistic abilities. Tell us, how did that happen?
That elective class was like the starting point for that because I was like in the pot, you know, everybody's making pinch pots and, you know, bowls, and I just wanted to try something else. I just wanted to do something so different, you know. And I thought outside of the box, and I just created these faces every day. And I kept doing it, and then I just had sculptures in front of me every class.
Now that you're a more experienced artist, what is your main source of inspiration when creating work?
My main source of inspiration, I would say, is when I create something, it means something to me. It means that I have to, you know, I have to say something. I have to make a statement. I can't just make something pretty. So when someone looks at my work and they have like a dialogue with each piece, and they're actually looking into it. They're looking at it from a perspective of more than just a work of art, you know, something that they can relate to, you know.
For sure, for sure. Now, if you could give one piece of advice to any high school student, middle school student who show interest in work, what would it be?
It would be to just express yourself, be yourself, and not get discouraged on what you can't do, you know, to know that your lessons, your trial and error, those are the real teachers, you know. What you do wrong and then fixing your mistakes can make you a better person.
Good piece of advice. Now, where can people find out more information about your artwork and yourself?
They can go to my website at austenbrantleysculptures.com, and they can see the process, how a piece is made to the end product.
Mm-hmm. Now, briefly, what is the typical process when creating a piece of work?
I'd say the most that goes into the piece is the envisionment process. So I'll start with just an idea or a topic, and then I'll actually write about it and think about it and then sketch something. And then I have models that I can just work with to really bring it out, you know, to really bring a piece out. I always actually stare at just space sometimes and just think about what isn't there, what can I do with that space.
Mm-hmm. Sounds interesting. Well, Austen, I want to thank you so much for coming on MetroArts.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Up next, we'll take a closer look at some of Austen's work. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television.
So this piece is actually a piece titled Liberation. It is actually in a series where I depict how someone is trying to escape from a background of chaos, is what I would describe it as. And this figure he has his arms folded behind him, trying to basically escape from his chaos or whatever situation is hurting him. So when someone looks at this piece, I would want them to see basically the forms, the abstract forms, and then the figurative form working together to create this kind of distinction between them, almost like different materials. Even though they're both clay, it's like almost like a difference. This original piece is titled Gaze. when I made this one, it was to portray what does someone feel or how do they look when they're looking into their own future. How do they perceive time and space? So three-dimensionally, I had to take that idea and make something that almost looks like you can look to where it's looking, you know? You can see that it's looking somewhere and you could like turn around and almost look that way. So when I created this piece, it was to show how you can take something three-dimensional and give it a direction. This is called Reality's Tide. From the models that I used for this piece, I wanted to portray almost like a traumatic event happening in their lives. So I make it so that their bodies are like reacting to like wind or like an emotional drift. So I called it Reality's Tide to portray almost like a movement in them emotionally, in them in the pieces.
Today on MetroArts Detroit, we have Virginia Violet and the Rays. Welcome to MetroArts, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you want to start by introducing yourselves and members of your band?
Sure. So on keyboard, we have Evan Mercer. On auxiliary percussion behind me, we have Nick Sapunis. Our guitar player is Tommy Porter. Our drummer is Eric Childress. And then we have Garrett Gaina on the baritone saxophone. We have Chris Kendall on the trombone, Adam Dibb on the alto sax, Dave Vasella on the trumpet. I'm Joe Myers, and this is Virginia Violet.
Cool. So Joe, you want to start by telling me how did you guys all come about?
Yeah, so we've been a band since March of 2016, and I've known some of the guys in the band, like Chris and Eric from high school. We were in jazz band together. And then all the other pieces kind of just came at once. It was very organic, the way it came about.
Mm-hmm. So David, I know you guys describe your sound as Modern Motown. Can you elaborate on that?
Modern Motown, it's kind of a hybrid when you think about it, you know, because when Motown first started, they brought a lot of jazz musicians in, and a lot of us have jazz backgrounds, but we're also really in love with this music, and we all listen to it, and we all dig into it, and we're record hunters too. You know, I know for a fact that Garrett is one of those people who's in this record store digging hard. So we wanted to sort of pay homage to that, and that's kind of what we're thinking about, a sort of direction, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And what makes your band different from other bands?
Well, we're in suits, for one. We're young, and you know, we want to play this music. We're not trying to, you know, play some pop sound that is popular. You know, we want to do this because we want to play this sound, and we're thinking of a sound rather than like trying to make something happen that's inorganic.
Mm-hmm. And Virginia, can you kind of tell us what is the process like when it comes to writing songs and transitioning those songs into the studio?
Well, it's a really good time, first of all. No, Joe and I start by writing the music. He will send me kind of instrumentals or different things, anything from like a keyboard riff to a guitar riff to sometimes a fully assembled garage band kind of demo thing. And then I write to it, and then we bring it to practice, and that's kind of the most exciting part because everyone puts their own spin on it and kind of beefs it out, and it becomes this big thing. And then we try to get everyone on the same schedule, and we get to the studio, and it's really cool. I mean, we actually worked with Nick and Drew. They helped us record our little EP that we have out, and it's definitely it was done all live, which is cool. And yeah, it's really awesome. Kind of journey, definitely a journey.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some of the challenges that a band face in today's music industry?
Well, I think oversaturation is probably a big problem. There's just a lot of people trying to do a lot of music, and I also think it's not so much you can't just take your record or your CD or whatever you want to somebody's door and knock on it and say, hey, here I am, like, if you like this, you know, maybe we can do something. Now there's social media, and there's all these different things in play, and people can see it anywhere. I mean, as far as purchasing music, everything's online, so making money is a lot different. Marketing yourself, But yeah, those are all difficult things. I mean, it's not as simple as it used to be.
Right. And where can people find out more information about your band?
So you could check us out on SoundCloud or Bandcamp. We have a Facebook page, and we kind of are posting about all of the upcoming stuff we have going on. And hopefully soon we'll have our own website up as well.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. It was a pleasure interviewing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
And now on MetroArts Detroit, here is Virginia Violet and the Rays. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television.
Hey,
We hope you enjoyed today's show. I would like to thank our guests, Lisa McCall and her dancers, Austen Brantley and Virginia Violet and the Rays for being here today. Remember, you can catch any of our shows online at MetroArtsDetroit.com and find us on social media. I'm your host on MetroArts, Larry Wallace, reminding you to always support the arts and cultivate the talent in your community.